Hey, Eli gang, it's me, Mr. Wells. How are you doing today? Um, we're going to read from Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. We're going to read part 2, chapter 7 today. The evidence of Count and Countess Andrani. Count and Countess Andrani were next summoned. The Count, however, entered the dining car alone. There was no doubt that he was a fine looking man seen face to face. He was at least 6 feet in height, with broad shoulders and slender hips. He was dressed in very well cut English tweeds and might have been taken for an Englishman had it not been for the length of his mustache and something in the line of the cheekbone. Well, messieurs, he said, what can I do for you? You understand, monsieur, said Perrault, that in view of what has occurred, I am obliged to put certain questions to all the passengers. Perfectly, perfectly, said the Count easily. I quite understand your position. Not, I fear, that my wife and I can do much to assist you. We were asleep and heard nothing at all. Are you aware of the identity of the deceased, monsieur? I understood it was the big American, a man with a decidedly unpleasant face. He sat at that table at meal times. He indicated with a nod of his head the table at which Ratchet and McQueen had sat. Yes, yes, monsieur, you are perfectly correct. I meant, did you know the name of the man? No, the Count looked thoroughly puzzled by Perrault's queries. If you want to know his name, he said, surely it is on his passport. The name on his passport is Ratchet, said Perrault, but that, monsieur, is not his real name. He is the man Cassetti, who was responsible for a celebrated kidnapping outrage in America. He watched the Count closely as he spoke, but the latter seemed quite unaffected by this piece of news. He merely opened his eyes a little. Ah, he said, that should certainly throw light upon the matter. An extraordinary country, America. You have been there, perhaps, Monsieur le Count? I was in Washington for a year. You knew, perhaps, the Armstrong family? Armstrong. It is difficult to recall. One met so many. He smiled, shrugged his shoulders. But to come back to the matter in hand, gentlemen, he said, what more can I do to assist you? You retired to rest when, Monsieur le Count? Hercule Poirot's eyes stole to his plan. Count and Countess Andrani occupied compartments number 12 and 13, adjoining. We had one compartment made up for the night whilst we were in the dining car. On returning, we sat in the other for a while. Which number would that be? Number 13. We played piquet together. At about 11 o'clock, my wife retired for the night. The conductor made up my compartment, and I also went to bed. I slept soundly until morning. Did you notice the stopping of the train? I was not aware of it till this morning. And your wife? The Count smiled. My wife always takes a sleeping draught when traveling by train. She took her usual dose of Trional. He paused. I am sorry I am not able to assist you in any way. Perrault passed him a sheet of paper and a pen. Thank you, Monsieur le Count. It is a formality, but will you just let me have your name and address? The Count wrote slowly and carefully. It is just as well that I should write this for you, he said pleasantly. The spelling of my country estate is a little difficult for those unacquainted with the language. He passed the paper across to Perrault and rose. It will be quite unnecessary for my wife to come here, he said. She can tell you nothing more than I have. A little gleam came into Perrault's eye. Doubtless, he said, but all the same I think I should like to have just one little word with Madame la Countess. I assure you it is quite unnecessary. The Count's voice rang out authoritatively. Perrault blinked gently at him. It will be a mere formality, he said, but you understand it is necessary for my report. As you please. The Count gave way grudgingly. He made a short foreign bow and left the dining car. Perrault reached out a hand to a passport. It set out the Count's names and titles. He passed on to the further information. Accompanied by a wife, Christian name, Elena Maria. Maiden name, Goldenberg. Age, 20. A spot of grease had been dropped on it at some time by a careless official. A diplomatic passport, said Monsieur Bach. We must be careful, my friend, to give no offense. These people can have nothing to do with the murder. Be easy, mon vieux. I will be most tactful. A mere formality. His voice dropped as the Countess Andrani entered the dining car. She looked timid and extremely charming. You wish to see me, messieurs? A mere formality, Madame la Countess. Perrault rose gallantly, bowed her into the seat opposite him. It is only to ask you if you saw or heard anything last night that may throw light upon the matter. Nothing at all, monsieur. I was asleep. You did not hear, for instance, a commotion going on in the compartment next to yours? The American lady who occupies it had quite an attack of hysterics and rang for the conductor. I heard nothing, monsieur. You see, I had taken a sleeping draught. Ah, I comprehend. Well, I need not detain you further. Then, as she rose swiftly, just one little minute. These particulars, your maiden name, age, and so on, they are correct? Quite correct, monsieur. Perhaps you will sign the memorandum to that effect, then? She signed quickly, in a graceful, slanting handwriting, Elena Andrani. Did you accompany your husband to America, madame? No, monsieur. She smiled, flushed a little. We were not married then. We have been married only a year. Ah, yes, thank you, madame. By the way, does your husband smoke? She stared at him as she stood poised for departure. Yes. A pipe? No. Cigarettes and cigars. Ah, thank you. She lingered, her eyes watching him curiously. Lovely eyes they were, dark and almond shaped, with very long black lashes that swept the exquisite pallor of her cheeks. Her lips, very scarlet in the foreign fashion, were parted just a little. She looked exotic and beautiful. Why did you ask me that? Madame, Perrault waved an airy hand, detectives have to ask all sorts of questions. For instance, perhaps you will tell me the color of your dressing gown. She stared at him, then she laughed. It is corn-colored chiffon. Is that really important? Very important, madame. She asked curiously, Are you really a detective, then? At your service, madame. I thought there were no detectives on the train when it passed through Yugoslavia, not until one got to Italy. I am not a Yugoslavian detective, madame. I am an international detective. You belong to the League of Nations? I belong to the world, madame, said Perrault dramatically. He went on, I work mainly in London. You speak English? He added in that language. I speak a little, yes. Her accent was charming. Perrault bowed once more. We will not detain you further, madame. You see, it was not so very terrible. She smiled, inclined her head, and departed. Elle est jolie femme, said Monsieur Bach appreciatively. He sighed. Well, that did not advance us much. No, said Perrault. Two people who saw nothing and heard nothing. Shall we now see the Italian? Perrault did not reply for a moment. He was studying a grease spot on a Hungarian diplomatic passport. All right. So make sure you're filling out your note sheet for this. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, enable your notifications so you can see all my great ELA videos. Talk to you later. Bye.